All right, welcome to the Podcast Engineering Show. Wow, I'm happy that you're here. My name is Chris Curran, and every week I bring you an episode. Sometimes it's me, like this episode is just me summarizing some of the Daily Goody blog posts that I've written, that I write every day. And on the other weeks, I actually interview people about their podcast production, you know, their hardware, their software, their whole setup, their production workflow. So really, this whole show is about discussing and learning how to produce better audio from an audio engineering perspective. And so today, I'm going to cover the daily goodies that were posted between August 18th and August 29th of this year, which is 2019. And of course, you can receive, you can receive those daily goodies in your email. You can get an email every day with the daily goodie, or you can get a weekly roundup email. So just go to the website, podcastengineeringschool.com, and you can sign up for that. So today, I am speaking into an SM7B, which is not my normal setup, and I'm actually using a cloud lifter for the first time. So thank you to Roger Cloud for the cloud lifter. And of course, it's plugged into the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 third generation interface. This is an interface that I've been trying, and I really like it. I've used a lot of Focusrite interfaces in the past. I own I think 5 or 6, maybe 5 or 6. And in this episode, unlike 2 episodes ago, I'm actually going to do post-production on my voice because Bandrew Scott at Podcastage, hey Bandrew, he said that he actually likes the SM7B better on my voice than my usual microphone, which is an RE20. So I'm going to do a little post-production this episode and, try to make it sound a little more groovy, baby, and hopefully it sounds good to you. But these Focusrite Scarlett interfaces are really pretty cool. Now they're on their third generation, and it's pretty much the world's best-selling USB interface. They've sold more than 3 million units worldwide. I didn't know that. And they have a bunch of different Scarletts as well. The 2i2 is one. The Solo is another one. It really depends on how many inputs you need. They have, you can get interfaces with 1 input, 2 inputs, 4, or 8, depending on the number of mics you want to plug in and the number of inputs you need. The sound is really good. One thing coming from my work in the music studios, Focusrite always has had a great reputation in terms of audio quality and the preamp quality, and they do maintain that in the Scarlett series for sure. It works with any type of software that you already are using. You can plug in any type of XLR microphone. Of course, they have phantom power. And of course, what I'm trying in this episode as well, I don't know if you can hear it, although now I just realized I'm going to be doing post-production on my voice. But anyway, in the recording phase, I have enabled the air button. The air button, it adds really nice high frequencies, really nice smooth clarity. And so I'm going to, I'm not going to EQ it very much. Maybe I'll just compress it a little, EQ it slightly. But anyway, I'm recording with the air today. I'm really psyched to hear how that sounds. I tried it already, and it sounds very good. There you go. So the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 third generation series. Thank you for sponsoring this show. And of course, our announcer guy's here. The announcer guy, he got here early today, and he parked his spaceship out in the backyard already, and he's just lounging near his microphone. He's just waiting to make his announcements. So, all right, go ahead, buddy. The start date for the next Podcast Engineering School will be January 14th, 2020. Punarmilāma. Wait, that's it? Yes, that's it. Really? It's over, Johnny. Okay. Oh, and I wanted to ask you, did you attend the Storm Area 51 gathering a few weeks ago? Don't be ridiculous. Now would you start the show, please? Sheesh. Wow. Okay. Here we go. Let's jump into the daily goodies. The first one is from August 18th. It is the J37 tape plugin from Waves. Yeah, this is a tape emulation plugin, and it emulates one of the vintage tape machines, actually several of the vintage tape machines at Abbey Road Studios. And tape saturation is really cool. That's one of the things that made tape recording onto tape so nice, is it had this little saturation, which is sort of like, I don't know, it's kind of a sort of compression, but it adds some harmonics and it just sounds nice. So anyway, I tried the J37 tape plugin from Waves. It's pretty cool. I like it. I don't use it every episode, but anyway, it's just one of the saturation plugins I tried out and I like it. Okay, next daily goodie. What is a double ender? Well, a double ender in podcasting parlance is when, let's say, a host and a guest connect to record an interview. Well, the host usually can record themselves locally, with a nice local recording, high resolution. But when the guest can also record themselves locally with a nice, high quality, high resolution recording, that's called a double ender, because on both ends, they're recording their own local audio. And then, of course, who's ever doing post-production can use that local audio from both sides and create, the episode using the local audio instead of like using a Skype recording or whatever. And one thing that's cool is that these services like Zencastr and Squadcast, they basically record double enders, but without the guest ever knowing it. So that's one of the reasons why those services are so nice, because they do record each person locally before it goes over the internet and gets all messed up. All right, next one. I don't want to learn any audio engineering. Okay, terrific. All right, but, okay, so some people, they don't want to learn any audio engineering. I can understand that. I feel that way about marketing sometimes. Like, I don't want to learn, I want to market my business, but I really don't want to have to learn a ton about marketing, which is kind of silly, and of course, then I'm forced to learn about marketing because you have to. But anyway, some people say they don't want to learn any audio engineering. But here's the thing. If you're recording podcasts, you are engineering by definition. And if you do it badly, your audio may sound terrible. And if you don't want to learn anything about audio or how to engineer your own recordings, you have some options. One, hire an engineer. Okay, that'll cost you money. Number two, be happy with crappy quality, which, of course, you're never going to be happy. Well, and the third, I guess the first one really was learn how to do some engineering so you can do it right yourself. Or the last option is just stop podcasting. Just don't do it. If you don't want to learn about it, if you can't hire anybody, if it upsets you that much and you're so adamant you don't want to learn, then just don't do it. Okay, next daily goodie. Avoiding plosives and removing plosives, okay? Plosives are, as defined by Uncle Google, denoting a consonant that is produced by, oh my God, this is terrible. I hate reading things, right? It's you read like 3 words and it's boring already. I'm going to read it anyway. Denoting a consonant that is produced by stopping the airflow using the lips, teeth, or palate, followed by a sudden release of air. Of course, like plosives, the P sound is the classic one. But basic plosives in English are, you can make them with the T, K, or P's, and sometimes with D's, G's, and B's as well. So usually the plosive frequencies are usually somewhere from 120 hertz and below. So they're very low frequency, and that's why some people don't notice them. But once you start noticing them, you'll hear them everywhere. Kind of like mouth clicks, kind of like sibilants. When you really learn what you're listening for, you just start hearing it everywhere. Okay, so to avoid plosives, obviously use a pop filter or a windscreen on your microphone. And if you have to remove plosives in post-production, specific plugins can do it. One of them is in Isotope RX7. They have a deplosive module. And also, one other trick you can do is use a multiband compressor and just compress, like, basically from 120 hertz and below, and it'll squash the plosives. You have to set, you set all the compressor settings properly to have it react properly. So it's not as easy as using a deplosive module, but you could still do it with a multiband compressor. And you just use the band from 120 hertz and below. So, all right, next one. Ripple delete. Yeah, ripple delete can be very handy in the process of audio editing and even video editing. And so ripple delete, I'm just going to describe it simply here. If you need to know more about it, you can read my post or go research it more. But, you know, when you're in your DAW and you have a bunch of different tracks and you delete just a piece of one track, that's fine. You can just, you know, highlight a segment of the track and delete it and it's gone. But if you want to actually remove a piece of a track or multiple tracks and not leave a big space there, you use the ripple delete. So ripple delete cuts out all the tracks for a given time frame, and then it moves all the audio that's to the right of the cursor, it moves it over and puts it right next to the audio that was on the left of whatever region you deleted. So it's nice. It keeps everything in time. Things don't get out of sync, and it's very handy. I don't actually use that very much because I do my detailed editing in a separate editor. I don't do it in my DAW. But for those of you who do, you know, edit in your DAW, you probably already know what ripple deleting is. But anyway, that's basically what it is. And for every DAW, the command is different, but it's not hard. It's pretty easy. Next daily goodie, archiving production files. Well, you might know that I'm a maniac with archiving audio and saving many, many copies just so I don't ever come to that situation where a client asks me for some files and I have to say, I don't have them anymore. I don't know what happened. I don't know where they went. Like, I never want to be in that position. So I archive everything multiple times. And you know, some people say, well, once I put out the episode, I don't really need all the production files, which is usually true, but you may want to go back and do several things, like adjust something and remix it and republish it. Like maybe someone's voice is way too loud, or maybe there's background noises you missed and you want to go back and take them out. Another thing, maybe you want to go back and delete a portion of the entire interview. You know, maybe a part with voice and music, which is harder to do in a just stereo editing situation. You might want to go back and cut out a specific segment to use again, to repurpose a specific segment. And again, sometimes maybe someone is saying something over music, and now you just want to use their voice. So now you got to go back to the multi-track and save that portion, but delete the music. You know, or mute the music. Maybe you want to use some of that episode audio in a video production or a slideshow. Maybe you want to clip out some quotes. So there's plenty of reasons that you would want to save the multi-track. Now, you don't need to probably save 3-4 copies of it. Maybe 1 copy is good enough, or 2. But yeah, I would definitely archive everything. And one of the additional reasons to archive, to be good with your archiving, is that a lot of people, if they want to make an edit to an episode, they'll actually download the actual MP3 episode file and make an edit and then re-encode it and re-upload it. And that's basically terrible because you're re-encoding, you're recompressing a compressed audio file, so you're going to make it sound even worse. So if you ever have to make just simple edits to a stereo file or a mono episode, you take your WAV file of the mix, edit that, and then create the MP3 from that, and you'll avoid that generation loss. All right, next one is contracts with production clients. So if you're producing podcasts for other people, it's really great to have contracts with them, to have, you know, a legal document. Contracts are really important because you want to say what you're going to do and what's involved in your service, what are you going to provide, and all that. And also with regards to timing. So here's some things, some elements you may want to include in your contracts. The length of the contract. How many episodes over what length of time, right? Next one. Specifically what you will be doing for them, including everything. Audio cleanup, mixing, mastering, tagging, uploading to the media host, etc. And you also want to include what you will not be doing for them. I learned this a while ago, and it's really very handy. There's a section in my contracts that says these items are not included, or these services are not included, or something like that. And then I list them. What is not included? Because sometimes there's a question and they're like, oh no, I thought this was included. And you can just point at the contract and say, no, it's not included. It never was. Okay, specifically, another thing you want to incorporate into your contracts, specifically what items and information you will need from them with regards to publishing the episodes, and how far in advance you'll need it. Something else, requirements with regards to you receiving the raw tracks at least X number of days before the episode is to be published. So what you don't want is for a client to send you audio and say, oh, we need to publish this tomorrow. You want to avoid that like the plague, because that's terrible. That's a lot of pressure. It's terrible. Also, you can include specific pricing for additional work. For instance, if episodes go long and you're going to charge more, how much are you going to charge? And also payment terms and all that. And there's more too. Like I'm not, I don't proclaim to be an expert at writing contracts, but anyway, those are just some of the things that are important to include. Next daily goodie. As a student of podcast engineering school, you are going to be overwhelmed in a good way. Yeah, and I love this about podcast engineering school. I teach so much in the course that at the end of a typical session, all the students are just like stunned. Like they're just like with a blank look on their face, like, oh my God, oh, that was awesome. But anyway, I give a lot of information because there is a lot of information to give. If you're going to be a professional at producing audio, you need to know a lot. And it's not that you're going to use all that knowledge every day, but you need to know. You need to understand. So that's why I really, really like over-delivering in terms of what I teach in podcast engineering school. All right, moving on to the next one. Envelope of sound. Well, this is pretty simple. I actually, for the Daily Goodie, I just pasted something from Encyclopedia Britannica. But the envelope of sound is basically the attack, sustain, and decay of a sound. So if you think of any sound, like even me saying the word sound, there's an attack, meaning how fast does the volume shoot up. And then there's the sustain, which is when it sort of holds that level. And then there's the decay, when I stop talking and the sound dies away. So that's what's meant by the envelope of sound. The way it's helpful to understand this in podcast production or any audio production in terms of especially compressors and gates, expanders and limiters, stuff like that, because you can actually set the attack time and the release time. And so you sort of, you're playing with the envelope of the sound when you're compressing something or gating something. So it's just good to know, just a raw piece of like fundamental knowledge, I would say. All right, next one. Well, wow. The ATR 2100 USB microphone. Wow, everyone in the whole podcasting space talks about this microphone so often because it's really a good mic. It's a USB mic, but it also has an XLR, port or connectivity. Usually it costs around $65. It's great for beginners. They can plug it in USB. And even if they want to go on location and plug it into a remote, like a portable recorder, they can with an XLR cable. And one of the cool things about this mic, which you may not know, is that you can record via the USB cable and record via the XLR cable at the same time. So some people do this. They'll plug their ATR 2100 into their computer and they'll do an interview over Skype or Squadcast or whatever. And then they'll also take the XLR out of the microphone and run it right into like a Zoom H4 or a Zoom H6, like a local recorder, and just record that as their local recording because it's just a straight raw recording of their mic. So that's kind of a cool use of that. And don't forget, with most mics, you really need a windscreen and a good mic stand, maybe with a boom arm or something like that, because you just need those things, obviously. All right, next daily goodie is my streaming setup from Podcast Movement. Yeah, back in August was Podcast Movement, and I did a stream from there for the Podcasters Lounge, which, And so I streamed from the hotel room, and the way I did it was I brought a microphone. It was actually a Sennheiser E835 microphone, and I plugged that into my iRig Pre, which is it's like a preamp, just it's a preamp for a single microphone, and that connected to my phone using the 1/8" TRRS input jack. So I literally had a Sennheiser E835 plugged into my phone, and then I had my phone connected with an Ethernet cable. That's right, I literally hardwired my phone to the internet from the hotel room, and then I used this app called the Larix Broadcaster app. And then I mounted my phone on the Zune Smooth 4 gimbal, so it was a little bit raised off the desk. And then from the Larix Broadcaster app, I streamed to my account at restream.io, which sent the stream to YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, and etc. Wait, what was Periscope? That's the other one it goes to. And then I was able to monitor the chat on my laptop computer. So I just had my computer open. And one of the cool things about that stream was that Ralph M. Rivera, he arrived and he came into my hotel room and, ignored me walking in. And then, anyway, him and I were streaming together on one camera and one microphone. So that was interesting because it was one cardioid microphone. And if you actually watch the video, you could see me because I'm closer to the mic. So I keep pointing the mic more towards Ralph because I'm trying to use the angle of the mic to actually balance the level of our voices so that, because I was closer to the mic. I didn't want to be much louder than Ralph. So I point the mic further at him. So it was pretty interesting. All right, the last one we're going to cover today, before a special thank you I want to give, by the way. This daily goodie was about the plugin called Gullfoss. Gullfoss. It's an intelligent EQ. It's made by Sound Theory, and it's a little expensive, and it's one of these new intelligent EQ plugins, and so I wanted to try it. I watched all these videos on it. I wanted to try it, and it's really good at cleaning up resonances and, for instance, de-essing. It could easily do that. And most people use it for music, but I thought I would get it and use it for, podcasting. And I was thinking that maybe if I ever do a recording of a guest that's maybe they are connecting on Skype or connecting through a medium that's pretty terrible, then I would maybe try to clean it up with this intelligent EQ. It actually makes 300 EQ adjustments every second, and it's dependent on the audio. So it scans the audio, and if it thinks that it needs EQ in some sections, it'll just quickly do that. And it's pretty cool. Anyway, I don't think any podcasters need it. Again, the only reason I got it was because I thought it was cool. And you know me, I got to experiment and try new things. That's just what I do. So, all right, the last thing on today's show, I want to give a special thanks to Jim Harold, actually. Do you know Jim Harold? He's the creator and the host of the Paranormal Podcast and several other shows. And he actually just purchased from me his custom settings for the Scheps Omni Channel plugin. So if you know that plugin from Waves, the Scheps Omni Channel, I use it and I encourage all my students to buy it because it's a really good channel strip. It has pretty much all the processing that you would need within it, meaning a compressor, an EQ, a limiter, 2 de-essers, saturation, filters, a gate, all in one plugin. It's really cool. And so I offer this service where people can send me their voice, and then I will basically mix their voice. I will use my Scheps Omni Channel to enhance their voice so I think it sounds awesome. And then I save those Scheps settings and I send it to them. So then in their Scheps Omni Channel, they just load the presets that I made, and boom. It's as if I, Chris Curran, came to your house and tweaked the settings of your Scheps Omni Channel to make it perfect for your voice, and then high-fived you and went home. So anyway, that's what that is, and I like doing that. So that's on more information about that is on my website. But Anyway, Jim Harold, he sent me some audio, which, by the way, was pretty awesome already. He's got a great mic. I think he's using the Electro Voice RE27, if I'm not mistaken. And he has a great voice, great sound, and his paranormal podcast is pretty cool, man, talking about all kinds of cool subjects. So his site is jimharold.com. So if you want to check out his site, all his shows are there and everything. So thank you, Jim Harold. And thank you for listening. Thank you to my announcer guy. Thank you to Focusrite. Thank you to Ralph M. Rivera, because why not just thank him? I mean, you can never thank him enough. In fact, I instruct each of you right now, go to your Twitter and tweet out, "Thank you, Ralph M. Rivera." All right. Anyway, happy to be with you today. We'll be back next week with an awesome interview. All right. See ya.